Today we're going to introduce a topic that we hope to speak more often about within our society. So currently we live in a society where it's difficult for us to be vulnerable and we fear sharing a lot of things. The way people perceive us and the way people perceive us is very important to us, and we hope to make good impressions. And we fear being judged, being called soft, being called sensitive, being called weak. And all of these narratives has had a negative impact on us as individuals and within our societies and communities. Hence, within this series, we hope to provide a safe space where we're able to share experiences and be able to discuss things about revolving around mental health openly with one another. And this is in the hopes of being able to hopefully one day have this discussion with our families, with our friends, and with people within our societies in an understanding manner and tone. So today, in accordance with this, we have three wonderful speakers and guests joining us today to share their experiences dealing with mental health within the society in the pursuit of normalizing this conversation. And I'm your host for today. My name is Dania.
Hi, my name is Reuben. I am 52 years old. I'm currently working as a training manager for a chain of cafes. I live in Kuala Lumpur with my partner and three cats.
Hi everyone. My name is Krisha. I am currently a postgraduate student, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in law and international human rights.
Hello and hi everyone. My name is Daryl Albright and I am an English teacher in Sarawak, Betong. It's not Bentong Pahang, but it's Betong Sarawak. So basically, I'm teaching students from the age of 16 until at the age of 19.
Right. So, as we're all aware, there has been a surge in cases of mental health issues in Malaysia. This was not made better by the pandemic and by the presence of a lockdown that is still ongoing. To start it off, why is talking about mental health so important? Reuben, shall we start with you?
I reckon right now everybody in this country is going through some form of mental health issue, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever. Being stuck at home with the family the whole day. A lot of people are not used to it. Incidences of abuse are going up, and as you said earlier, suicide rates are skyrocketing. People need to ask for help. People need to be able, they need to feel comfortable to be able to ring up their friends or their family and say, "Look, I'm really struggling. Can we talk?" The longer we keep silent about it, the longer it stays something that we don't talk about, the worse it's going to get. And yeah, okay, not everybody is a trained counselor. I'm not a trained counselor, but I have several people who ring me when they have a bad day. We just go through things. We have a laugh, and hopefully they feel better. Even if it's just for a little while. But there is communication, and we do really need to start being vocal about this. That's why I think we do, because everybody's suffering. Everybody's suffering.
Thank you, Reuben. Krisha, what are your thoughts? Why is talking about mental health so important?
I think the alarming trend is the rates of suicide or attempted suicide among young adults is extremely high. And it might stem down to the fact that it's hard to reach out because a lot of times not everybody is going to understand what you are talking about because it's not a physical illness. They can't see what you're actually experiencing, and what might work for one person is not going to work for another person. The same way what one experiences with mental health is not the same as another person. And yes, we may talk about anxiety and depression, but the umbrella term of mental health, it involves so many different kinds of illnesses, and it is important to recognize that it's not just anxiety and depression. There can be so many other things that you might be facing. Whatever it may be, it is very important to reach out to the closest person you know, or if you can't, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, whoever it may be, just to talk, just to get some perspective. Because I think for me, at the end of the day, I believe that only a professional can clinically diagnose you. And I think that's very important, especially for young adults, to acknowledge that this is a problem that I am facing, and it's not wrong to seek help. It is not it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be made hard and made impossible to seek help. Um, and it's okay. It's really okay to speak up.
Thank you, Krisha. Daryl, what about you? Why should we speak about mental health?
I think like both Reuben and Krisha just said just now, it's really, really important that how to say we talk about it right now, because I think a lot of people are suffering at home, regardless of what are the things that they have at home, like how to say, whether they are living in poverty or they don't have this outlet for them to speak about their mental health. So it's really important that we normalize things like, hey, it's okay. I also have this kind of problem, and you also have this kind of problem. Let's talk. It can be as simple as organizing Zoom meets or organizing Google Meet with friends or with family members, or you can contact to your nearest how to say your clinical help, your psychologist. I think there's Mentari nearby, or there's KKM nearby that can actually provide you this kind of how to say this kind of service, because the moment that you feel different, you need to recognize that, okay, I need help. Or maybe you can talk to the ones that have experienced it and see what can be the next step. Because always when it starts early, there's always how to say there's always chance for people to actually to fall back to normal life. But when it progresses to something that is more serious, then sometimes help can be a bit too late for them. So I think that is why talking about this kind of issue is really important nowadays.
Thank you, Daryl. We've discussed generally why we should be speaking about mental health issues, and we can all agree that at the end of the day, we do need to speak about it, and hence the session, it's okay to speak up. So is it okay, can you share the sort of experiences that you've had with your mental health issues, and how did you react to it? Reuben, is it okay to start with you?
Yeah, that's fine. The first was when I got divorced, even though it was something we both agreed on. Um, it still kind of hit me quite hard, and I went to see a counselor, and that really helped. That helped me move on. The second one was probably about 3 or 4 years later. I lost my job. Things were bad. I was in the UK at this point. I was basically alone. So I really went deep down that rabbit hole, like really, really deep. And I was living on the dole, and so one thing just added on to the other. Um, and then I got a job. However, here's the thing: depression doesn't just disappear when circumstances change for the better or for the slightly better. I was still massively, massively depressed, um, which affected my performance at work. Snowballed and led me to losing that job, which then, again, got me even deeper. Uh, so I knew I was thinking. Again, I went to see counselor, a therapist, and she gave me this medication, and this thing I had to put under my tongue and let it dissolve, and it was so bitter. Um, and I just, I can imagine this was like a double strength Valium kind of thing, because I'd be flying high, right? And I wouldn't feel a thing. And I thought, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. So I stopped that. I just didn't like the way it made me feel. Yeah, you fly high for a little while, but then you come crashing down again, which means you then need to keep on with this. And I thought, no, this is messing me up even more physically. So I stopped it. And really, it was around this point that I thought, you know what, why not just end it all at the point? I was tired. I was physically, emotionally tired. You wake up in the morning and it's like, for about 5 minutes, you're okay. And then everything just comes crashing back down. And my saving grace was my friend in Scotland, and he kept pestering me to come back home. He was like, you're alone here. What on earth are you doing here? Go home, go home, go home." Um, and I did. I got a ticket and I came back. Um, and that pretty much helped. I was still angry. Don't get me wrong, I was still angry. I was still depressed. But being back home in a familiar place with my mom and my brother and things like that really did help a lot. Yeah, there's still days that I get down. It never really goes away, I don't think. And I've come to the conclusion, and it's something that Daryl said earlier as well. Um, but I'm still here and I'm still fighting day by day basis, kind of thing.
Thank you, Reuben. Bless you. Right. So, Krisha, what about you? What were the thoughts going through your mind when you were experiencing your mental health issues, and how did you react to it?
Okay, so my first encounter that I remember of, because it's something about mental health and having amnesia where you forget the bad things in your life. But my actual first encounter was it was about 2 years ago on the 8th of May, if I'm not wrong. Um, I was actually having exams during the time, uh, and I remember texting both my mom and my brother, and I told them I don't think I can do this anymore. Um, and throughout the night, so my exam was the next day. Throughout the night, they were trying to encourage me, but by about 11 p.m. at night, I just knew I could not do it anymore. And I had no idea why. I had no idea. And I kept thinking to myself, like, why am I so stressed out? Why am I crying so much? Why am I so upset? And so I did eventually defer my paper, but the next day it was really bad for me because it was the next day when I actually experienced um, very suicidal thoughts. And uh, to be honest, until today, I don't know where it came from. And that's the reason why I was also diagnosed with psychotic tendencies, because I kept hearing this, like, it wasn't really voices, but I kept seeing like images in my mind. Um, and so I texted my family and I told them what was going on. And my brother immediately called me and he was like calming me down on the phone as I was hyperventilating. And my mom actually flew up from JB because I was studying in KL at that time. She immediately flew up to JB and she was with me. And I still had one more paper to sit for, but eventually it just got so bad. I hadn't slept for about 4 days by that point. It was just like periodic naps, and I was not eating. It was a very, very scary feeling for sure. And then we flew back to JB, and that Saturday, it was the 11th of May, I told them that I needed help, and they said they will get me the help that I needed. They were extremely supportive, and till today, I am so thankful for how much they actually and how much they are still doing for me every day. And yeah, I saw two psychiatrists that day. And that evening, I was clinically diagnosed. I was immediately put on medication. It's called sertraline. So it's to bring up your serotonin levels in your body. Um, and when I was diagnosed, I broke down because I think that's when it finally hit me that what I'm going through is actually real. Because yeah, it's true. I see it on social media. I have seen it on social media so many times where people my age are saying I feel depressed. And although I knew what it was, you would never think that it would happen to you. And when it does happen to you, you're like, wow, it is very, very real. And it is a very, very difficult journey. But to me, to be honest, I'm very, very thankful for all the support that I've gotten. Not just from my family, my friends. Everybody has been just so amazing. And shout out to my psychiatrist. She hears everything. So I think she might need a therapist as well, but she's been so amazing, and I've been seeing her for the last 2 years. I don't think I'll ever stop seeing her. Yeah, so it's been a journey, but I'm blessed. I'm very thankful that I'm still sitting here today.
And so are we, and I'm sure your family are too. Thank you so much, Krisha. Daryl, what about you? What's your personal experience with mental health and how did you react to it?
Okay, so my personal experience with mental health, it goes way back in my university time. I think that was when around 2017 or 2018, I think so. Around that time, the last semester, I think I got like this kind of nervous breakdown. I was anxious and I have all this, how to say, I feel a lot of things during that time. I remember I was, I would just stare in front of a mirror and I can just suddenly cry without, feeling anything. So it's like super weird. That's one. And I, how to say, when I how to say, look at something, I will start hearing, like really, how to say, hiss. And also I don't know how to explain it, but it's, how to say, it has something to do with my eyes as well, because I start to see flares and stuff like that. Then I know that, okay, this is not normal because I have not experienced this since I was small. Then I talked to my friend and she was saying, are you stressed, Daryl? And I, at that time, yes, because it was like during the final semester, and then I'm sorry, the final year, and a lot of people are, how do you say, struggling with doing their thesis and whatnot. So I was really struggling, but I said, okay, I think it's just normal stress. And as days goes by, the, how to say, the feeling increases. I remember I was driving. My university is in Tanjung Malim. I remember I was driving. How to say, just from Putrajaya, because I was actually from Putrajaya, just driving, going to back to my university in Tanjung Malim. And I remember I overshoot until Ipoh Perak, where I like really do not know what, like I just drive, just go. And then it's really this one. Then I know that I really need help, but I do not know where to go. So that time I really just talked to my friends and they, how to say, they validate my feelings that actually I think you are having something, but we can't really diagnose, or we can't really say it, or you can't really Google it to know what's happening with you, kind of thing. So okay, so I have this group of friends where we talk about this stuff. And then on the final day of my university, my friend said, Daryl, I think we are no longer going to be next to you to actually hold your hand and talk frequently like before. And that time I really feel like I feel I do not know what to do, because there's no how to say, there's no group of friends that really stand next to you and talk to you about this thing. And when I actually go back to my house, the next day itself, the episode starts. I remember seeing when I it actually starts way back in university. I actually hide all my knives, all of my sharp things inside the drawer, because whenever I see these sharp things, I could imagine how I possibly can end my life, kind of thing. It's really stressful because, how to say, you don't want to end your life, but this kind of thoughts really, how to say, really bothers you. And when I actually back at my house, the episode starts when the day after that, when I woke up, I remember hearing voices in my head saying a lot of nasty stuff. I'm not sure how you guys can relate to this, but I really feel and I really hear this kind of noises. And I remember I wrote it on a book, and I write everything on it. And then I remember telling my parents, hey, I think I have problems. And that time, I think in 2017 or 2018, mental health is not really something big. It's just, they're just saying, oh, Daryl, you just need to pray more. I think you're too stressed or stuff like that. So and then I know that there's something wrong. Then I bring the book. I just shut the book. I bring it to my, how to say, bring it to my car, and I drove myself to the nearest KKM. And then they say that I think you are actually having problems. And that day itself, I went to see a therapist, and after that, they refer me to psychiatrist. And it has been like, I think that time 1 year plus of back and forth seeing the therapist and psychiatrist, seeking the help that I need. And also this kind of thing, this kind of mental health experience, we don't really talk it in my family because all of us, we are all boys. And how to say, as the society thinks, boys should be strong, boys should not show their emotions, or else you'll be, how to say, you'll be deemed as soft. But I feel like, I think I need to break the chain in my family, and I really need to go, because if I don't go, these episodes won't stop. And thankfully I did. I went and I showed them, how to say, the clinical diagnosis to my parents, and they how to say, they changed their feelings or changed their mind when they saw this, and they really helped me. And I have been, how to say, receiving a lot of help from them especially, and also from my friends ever since. And here I am right now teaching my students English in Betong Vocational College. Yeah.
Daryl, thank you so much for sharing. I think with each of our experience, well, each of your experiences, please believe me, 100%, I can relate on certain, very like different aspects. But I did see that there was a theme. Do you think so when, you start thinking or you start noticing these mental health issues, you start noticing the stress, the breakdowns, the crying, Daryl, 100%. There was a period in my life a few months ago where for about 2 weeks, I would cry without knowing why. And for a while, I kept feeling guilty because I thought you're being ungrateful. You're here, you're studying, you're in the UK. Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful to God because, I've got the finances to sustain myself. Why are you crying for? Snap out of it. Do you think when you start noticing these mental health issues, whatever they may be, the delay that between the period of noticing it and actually seeking treatment, do you think, in a sense, is it a lack of awareness personally that this may be something real? Do you think it's pride? A lot of times students will come out of university and say, I never once submitted an extension. I went through all the stressful nights without submitting an extension. It can be viewed as a weakness. Do you think that delay may be due to these reasons? What do you think caused that delay in actually seeking treatment or actually realizing that this was real?
I'm just going to jump in here. I think what you said about pride was very much my thing, because like Daryl said, especially for me, I grew up in a generation where we men and boys don't cry, and we can deal with anything the world throws at us, and we couldn't ask for help, blah blah, all that. And it definitely was pride, to a large extent, saying no, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine. I can deal with this. I don't need help. But obviously, I couldn't deal with it, and obviously, I did need help. And I think part of the reason why I put off coming back home from the UK as well was pride. I didn't want to come home a broken man, in my eyes, a failure, which was a load of nonsense. Because I had nothing to prove to anybody anywhere, only to myself. Um, and like you said, Dania, you can afford to financially sustain yourself, and you're there, and you're safe, and all that. But that doesn't mean anything, I mean, don't get me wrong, that means a lot. However, mentally, if something's affecting you, it's going to affect you regardless what your situation is. So yeah, definitely with me, what you said about pride is it was very much my thing. Yeah, so that was that for me.
Thank you, Reuben. Krisha, what about you?
Danny, I can completely relate to what you were saying. I think we all do it. Um, to be honest with me, it was I don't think I ever acknowledged how stressed I got. And it got to the point where the stress just had engulfed me to the point where I could not cope anymore. Um, because I still remember months before that I sort of noticed something was going on because I was already I was just constantly tired for absolutely no reason, and I didn't know why. And it got to the point where I was like, oh, this is why I'm so tired all the time when I was diagnosed, because a lot of your energy goes into coping and getting up every day to do the simplest things, like sometimes it's showering, brushing your teeth, and it's all little wins, sometimes that's all that matters. It's the little wins. And it's true. Having an amazing life, that it doesn't mean that you cannot suffer from mental health. You always can, at any age, anyone, any wage gap. It it doesn't, honestly, it attacks anyone. It can. And I think it's how you handle it and how you cope with it. And I do acknowledge, especially in Malaysia, we have private mental health care and public mental health care. And well and good if you can afford private mental health care. But equally, KKM is doing an amazing job. Daryl has experience with public KKM, right? Yeah. And they're doing an amazing job. And in fact, a lot, like, especially my friends who have come to me and asked me, like, where do I get help? The first place I say is always KKM, because at the end of the day, it is what you're diagnosed with and how they can help you. And it's that is the most important thing. And then if you feel like you want to go somewhere else, by all means you can. But um whatever it is, once you start noticing the small signs, you feeling extra tired, sleeping way more, eating less, it can be a myriad of things. But is it we need to learn that we have to acknowledge the small happenings in our life before it becomes too big. And some of us are not here anymore, and that can be the end result for a lot of people.
Thank you, Krisha. Daryl, what about you? The delay in between saying, is this okay? Is this real? And your parents not acknowledging how you felt. What do you think really pushed you to actually seek for treatment?
So basically, I think it's me pushing everything into the stress bubble. Like I think when these small things happen, like how to say, suddenly I cry a lot. Suddenly, I just put it like, okay, maybe I'm stressed. And when I start seeing flares, maybe I'm stressed. And all of the things I push in the in the stress bubble. And I don't have friends that actually, that actually experience this and say, hey, Daryl, I think you're actually having problems. We just talk about it. And also, I'm also brought up in a very traditional Christian family. So when there's traditional Christian family, how to say, if there's any problem, talk to God, go to the church, which is, for me, no doubt, I think it works with some people, but sometimes it goes more than that. That's what I feel. And also the delay is also because, how to say, I really wanted to finish my study and I don't want to jeopardize my study because of me going to the hospital or going to KKM to actually seek for help, because I heard a lot of things that once they give you medicine, you wouldn't be performing like what you what you originally can perform. So I feel like that's why. And it really it really make my life really bad, because once I finish university, my helpline, my friends, is gone. I can't see them every day and I can't talk to them. So that's why I broke down. And after that, I realized that after university, it's me on my own. And if I don't seek for help first, then no one can help me, because I only can validate my own feelings and my own thoughts and whatever I'm experiencing. If I talk to my parents, I say I'm hearing voices. They can't hear voices, so they might think that it's something else. So that's hence why I opt for KKM. And yes, KKM is it's really helpful. They can refer you as well to the hospital. Like the nearest one is Hospital Putrajaya or Hospital Sridang. But I went to Clinic Kesihatan first, because they have this the clinic for mental health over there, and it's only RM1. So I believe that everyone can afford to go there. If they actually have, if they have no outlet to talk to, they have no friends to talk to, they can just book an appointment to go there and talk to the counselor or the psychologist over there. And I feel that is where this help is very accessible to all people, and especially to myself. And I think, thank God for that experience, because it made me to who I am today.
Thank you so much, Daryl. So I think we touched that a little bit, the fact that we have the services, we have the facilities for people to seek it. And although I think we may argue that it's not up to par with other countries, it's still, like you said, one ringgit, it's still accessible and it's there. So it's something that people can access. It's just the taboo, like you said, Reuben, that we need to break and say, no, it's okay, we can speak up. There was a different kind of point of view that I wanted to try to speak of. And so recently, walking around Newcastle here in the UK, I've seen black banners saying hashtag speak up, hashtag men should speak up. And there was this man who was encouraging men to come to sort of like a session where they can all speak of their mental health issues. So I think now that we're starting to speak of mental health, we're also starting to speak of the fact that, as we mentioned previously, the society's idea that men should be strong and men, boys don't cry, that they outwardly should, it displays what they feel inwardly and it's basically nothing. And we know that's not true. Men should be able to feel and should be able to emote. As Reuben and Daryl, do you think that there's it's a larger stigma, it's a harder barrier to break as men suffering from mental health issues? And did you have issues like with your family, friends, or even society facing that as a man?
I think the UK is being a bit more verbal about it. On LinkedIn and or wherever, like you said, banners and things like that. Whereas here in Malaysia, we're still very insular, and people are maybe ringing their friends and saying, I need to speak to somebody. I need help. None of my no, okay, I take that back. Only my cousin knows what I went through. None of my other immediate family knows what I went through. I don't speak to my brother about this. That's just the way we were brought up. Like Daryl, my mom's a very, very, very staunch Catholic, and everything was, just go and pray, go to church, go and pray. And as Daryl said, that it might soothe your soul for a little bit, but it's not an answer. Okay, God's not going to come along, point a finger at you and say, right, this is what you need to do. No, it doesn't work that way. Yes, I think in other parts of the world, they are acknowledging it. They are talking more openly about it. But here, we definitely need to speak more about it. Only because we still got this whole mentality, I suppose. It's like, we're fine, everything's fine. I don't need help. No, a lot of people do need help. Many people do need help. But yeah, we do need help here. We need to be more vocal about it. We need to stop being afraid. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with people who are suffering. They don't have a communicable disease. They're just slightly off balance. That's all. So that's what I think about it.
Thank you, Reuben. Thank you so much. Daryl, what about you? You said you grew up, you were just all boys. Do you think maybe being a man and being a male in the society in Malaysia, do you think maybe that's one of the obstacles that you said, I should be better than this, I should be stronger than this?
I think yes, because in Malaysia, especially, we see a lot of male as as a leader, and then as a person that is very stable emotionally, physically, and also in a position of power. So it actually diminishes them. They don't have this emotional baggage that they have, but actually I think all humans, they do have their own emotional baggage, and also they need to recognize their own feelings. Like myself, whenever I have problems in my family, I tend to talk to I talk to my mom, which is the female figure of the family, and also I tend to talk to my other friends, because they understand currently what am I having. And usually with all boys, we just discuss about our our future, our successes, and then, okay, I got A grade for this, and how about you? Like it's a kind of competition. And if you have this kind of this kind of emotional problem or mental problem, it would it really feels that you are, how to say, one step behind everyone. And it shouldn't be that way, because I believe that everyone should have an outlet to speak, and everyone should recognize if they have problem, they need help. And living in all boys, it's like that, yeah. And especially a very how to say, religious family is also like that, where yes, like Reuben said, how to say, coming also from a very devout Christian family as well. Um, Sometimes all we are brought up is, if we have problems, we can sort it with going to church. We can sort it with religion. We can pray, and suddenly something good happen. But it's not that way. I always believe that, how to say, when as a male, as a female, as anyone human, when we pray, how to say, we are looking for not looking for answers, but looking for ways to overcome it. Like how to say, I believe praying also help, but it's also showing me the way that, okay, I need to find help because this is not working for me. Let's just seek professional help. And it did. And until right now, it's been helping me really well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daryl. So that is another common theme. I think that if you're coming from a religious, and even if it's not religion, it's your culture. You know, we live in Southeast Asia, usually with us, it can be very difficult with our parents to break that, you know, like you said, generational gap. But we're headed there. And in a sense, I think a lot of people will dismiss religion completely, like you said, like both of you said. There's a way, there's a peace that you get, but no religion has ever said, you know, your mental health issues will be solved by, you know, reading this prayer. That's not how that works. You can seek solace in God, but you do need to seek help professionally. Krisha, a slightly different take on this. If we think of teenagers, if we think of I call them the kids. I'm 24, so really it's not that far off. I think we have woke culture now. We're all talking about, you know, our mental health issues online, especially, and people are a lot more aware of it. There's awareness on it. Yet, you know, the numbers don't change. If anything, it's getting worse. If you could, you know, say something to teenagers or give them a sort of a suggestion or advice, or think in their shoes, how do you think, or how would you say to them, if you think you're going through something, consider A, B, or C? What would your take be?
Very interesting question. Because okay, I think for me, when I was in high school, if I was experiencing what I was experiencing now, I don't think I would have told anyone. I think I would have just suppressed it, because back then it was something that was not talked about at all. Uh, and I also believe that maybe back then my family might not have fully understood what I was going through. Woke culture is good in certain ways, obviously. It's good that teenagers are using social media to highlight their experiences. But to put your life out on social media is one thing, but to actually seek professional help is a whole other thing. I always believe that feeling depressed or experiencing any form of mental illness, I think parents nowadays, they are very much aware of what mental health is and how much it can affect their kids. And I think that's also partly because, you know, they have utilized the internet. The internet is out there for everybody. Everybody has been able to learn about it. And with the number of suicide rates going up, especially among uni students and high school students, I think parents are becoming more aware. They are becoming more understanding. And that's not to say all parents, but generally, I think parents are moving into the direction that we want them to move into. My suggestion would be, if they are feeling it, to turn to their parents first. And if they can't speak to their parents immediately, because at the end of the day, they are still underage and they will still need consent when they go to doctors. And I think it's really important that schools as well, they acknowledge that mental health is as important as physical health. And mental health, honestly, it should be part of any school syllabus at this point. um, Especially now post pandemic, whenever we go back, when they start going back to school, we have seen that I think the pandemic has exposed a lot of things. One of it is the severity of mental health issues in Malaysia, not just in Malaysia, like you said, in UK as well. and definitely around the world, because people are losing their jobs. The stigma, and even the stigma against men, it's real because of our culture, because of religious backgrounds. And it is very important for schools, for school counselors to know that kids can face it as well. It does not discriminate age at all. And I think if schools, if especially government schools, when if teachers are trained to talk to their students about mental health, if teachers are trained to share their experiences, it will make students a lot, they might find it a lot easier to actually express how they are feeling, what they are feeling, and why they are feeling like that. Because it's not always attributed to stress. It can also be stress at home where they can't turn to their parents. So where do they turn to? um and maybe speaking to their friends might not be the best solution, because they're still, they might not understand the context of it. And we will never understand the context of what another person is going through. If they have an adult figure, I think, to talk to explain how they are feeling, why they're breaking down, maybe why they feel so tired, um, especially at home now with online learning, it's extremely challenging, especially from a culture that never came from online learning. Everything was hands-on in school, open books, exams were all open book. It's very, very challenging, especially for, I can only imagine how much more challenging it is for school students at the moment, because it's not, they were never exposed to something like this. I do think it's really, really important now that schools start to acknowledge that mental health is as important as physical health. Because by currently Malaysia's, the highest death rates, the highest contributing death rates is heart, it's a heart condition. But I think by the year 2022, which is not far away, because we've basically skipped 2020 and 2021, um, mental health is going to be the leading cause of death. And it's the leading cause of death in a lot of countries now. So as important as physical health, mental health should be taken as seriously.
100%, Krishan. I think that's the incoming pandemic, if it's not already happening and been happening quietly, or the mental health pandemic. Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences today, your advice, your suggestions, and contributing to this discussion surrounding mental health within our communities and societies. I'm sure that we've all agreed this is something that we need to speak up on. It is okay to speak about. And to the viewers out there, we hope that you realize your feelings are valid, what you're going through is valid, and that we hope you seek professional help or any sort of help for anything that you're going through. Just remember that it's completely okay to speak up, and please take care.